Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to my podcast series. As you can tell, I changed it from the Thomas Gorski Sports podcast series just to the Thomas Gorski podcast series because I think I'm just gonna be all around. I don't know if I'm ready to commit to basically just one subject. I might be going all around with different sports. I may be having different people on just to talk about anything. So we're just gonna keep it neutral until I get some more subscribers, and then I will have them pick out the name. So, today's episode is going to be based off of my first NFL mock draft 1.0. So, let's just get right on into it, guys. So, the Cincinnati Bengals with the very first overall pick is going to be Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU. 60 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, completing 76.3% of his passes. Joe Burrow is potentially the greatest college quarterback ever coming out of college to the NFL. He had a phenomenal season, and he is going to pretty much be a lock. I don't think there's any way that they would take Tua. And Zach Taylor's going to have his quarterback of the future. He's got a young back in Joe Mixon. He's got his left tackle of the future and Jonah Williams. And you have Tyler Boyd to work with on offense and potentially A.J. Green coming back as well. So Joe Burrow should have some weapons around him. And they have a very nice young core. And I think taking Joe Burrow is going to put that team into the right direction because they've never really had a franchise quarterback. The last quarterback I believe they took in the top 3, maybe even number 1 overall, was Carson Palmer. And they actually sat him for the entire first season. So we'll see how that all shapes up. Number 2, we have another lock. And it's the Washington Redskins, Ron Rivera's first pick. He's a defensive guru, and they're going to take potentially the best player in the entire draft in Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State. He was a Heisman finalist this season. There is speculation that he is better than Nick and Joey Bosa were coming out of Ohio State, and they are all pros. And Nick Bosa is playing in the Super Bowl in his first year, and he is potentially winning Defensive Rookie of the Year as well. There is a chance that the Redskins might trade out, considering that they don't have a second overall pick because the Colts have it. Because that is from the trade that they traded in for Montez Sweat last year in last year's draft when they traded back into the first round. When they took Haskins at pick 15, and I think they came back into the mid or late 20s, and they took Montez Sweat. The Redskins are kind of all over the place, and they need to add just talent anywhere, and I think they should take Chase Young with their very first pick here because he's an instant impact player. But I wouldn't be shocked if a team like the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Raiders, and the Colts, those 4 teams could look to really move up into the draft to take their quarterback of the future in Tua Tagovailoa, especially if Tua is cleared by medicals. There's no reason he's not a top 3 to 5 pick. Number 3, I have my very first trade of the day. Yes, I believe the Lions are in a perfect spot to trade back, considering that it's clear they are in rebuild and not competing in the NFC North. So it'll be Matt Rule, quarterback of the Matt Rule, new coach of the Carolina Panthers. And they got Joe Brady, who was coming from the top school in LSU as he was their pass game coordinator. And he's coming from the SEC, which is one of the toughest conferences in the country. And Dave Temper has proven that he is one of the most aggressive owners in the league, especially by giving Matt Rule an 8-year contract. And they're going to trade up and get their quarterback of the future in Tua Tagovailoa, and they're going to either trade or cut Cam Newton in March. So the basis of this trade is going to be Carolina's going to receive pick 3 and in this year's 2020 4th round pick and Detroit will receive the 8th overall pick, a 2021 first, a 2020 third, and a 2021 third. So it's going to be a big haul, and there's no reason the Lions don't take the pick. They have Matthew Stafford at quarterback, so they could go and take, when I believe at pick 7 now, they'll be able to take so many great players as well. It is a no-brainer. So now breaking it down for the Panthers. Tua Tagovailoa is one of the league's best. He would have been the number 1 overall pick in a heartbeat right away if he never had the injury or if Joe Burrow didn't, because the Dolphins were trying to actually tank for Tua. So teams are going to try to get ahead of the Dolphins because the Dolphins could probably stay at 5 and still get him. So, and I think Dave Temper is going to be very aggressive. Number 4, the Giants are going to take a surprise here, as the very first offensive tackle off the board is Jedrick Willis Jr., offensive tackle, Alabama. It's pretty simple. Daniel Jones needs a left tackle. Nate Solder's not it. Or they could still stick with Nate Solder and they can move Jedrick Willis to right tackle. David Gettleman is going to be looking to improve the offensive line, as he already has. And that's the number one thing you need to look at when you have a young quarterback, and especially stud running back in Saquon Barkley. They drafted Willie Hernandez at left guard, and they traded for Kevin Zeitler at right guard. So the interior's pretty much set. Now they need to find their foundation, and I believe finding your left tackle and Jedrick Willis of the future is going to establish that, as you have 3 guys that are going to be there for the next 5 to 7 years, with no question about it. And Isaiah Simmons could be in play here, or Jeff Aduka, but I think the Gettleman's going to stick with the offensive lineman. Number 4, Dolphins missed out on Tua, so I think they're going to go their fallback option and Justin Herbert, which I think is totally fine. I don't think Herbert's ready to start right away, so I wouldn't rule out them keeping Fitzpatrick and maybe trading or cutting Josh Rosen, and they're going to have Justin Herbert sit behind Fitz for a year, or maybe come into play halfway through the season. Justin Herbert, he's 6'6", he's 230, he's a big, strong-arm quarterback. He is one of the most accurate passers in the draft as well, and he would have been probably the number 1 quarterback last season, but he decided to stay at school and go and get his degree, I believe, in biology. So he's a very smart quarterback. He will probably have one of the biggest IQs in the entire draft. And the Dolphins are finding their quarterback of the future here to throw to Devontae Adams, and they got like 14 draft picks, so the Dolphins' future is very, very bright. Chargers at number 6. They're going to miss out on Herbert, and they're going to miss out on Tua, and they're going to miss out on Burrow, of course. And they've already announced that they're parting ways with Philip Rivers. So I believe they are going to bring in a Cam Newton or a Teddy Bridgewater, maybe, and then they'll probably draft a quarterback in the future. Who knows? But in this situation here, they're going to take Andrew Thomas, left tackle, Georgia. The Chargers' offensive line troubles have been their Achilles heel the past few years. And Andrew Thomas is the best overall tackle in the draft. He's the guy who you can't get blamed for taking him at. It could be at number 1. You can't get blamed because he is a very safe pick, and he's a guy who is expected to be your left tackle for the next 10 years. So number 7, the Lions could go in a lot of different directions here. Derek Brown makes a lot of sense from Auburn. He could go next to Damon Harrison, or if Harrison retires, because there is rumors of that, they could go with their guy, Jeff Aduka, who does fit their scheme, and they could have on the opposite side of Darius Slay. But I think they're just going to go with the best overall player here, and I think he's the best overall player in the draft, and Isaiah Simmons. He's played defensive end, he has played linebacker, he has played safety, he has lined up as a nickel corner. He is a Matt Patricia guy. He is the type of player who was like a Devin Bush last season, where he was very flexible, he could play all around, or a Miles Jack a few years back. And they need an impact player on defense. They need a guy who's just going to come and splash, and he's just going to be such an impact player right away. Number 8, the Cardinals could go in multiple directions here. I think receivers in play, but you need to protect the franchise quarterback, and you are going to take Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle / guard. He could play tackle, but a lot of executives around the league and scouts believe that he could be an all-pro guard. And he is 6'5", like 310, I believe, and he is going to definitely improve that offensive line. If Kyler Murray is a franchise quarterback, he is the guy. He has that it factor. So now, and he has the weapons. They took about 4 rookie receivers in last year's draft with like Isabella, Hakeem Butler, Keyshawn Johnson. They had so many picks, and you have Larry Fitzgerald returning up for 1 more year. So I think you need to figure out how to just give Kyle Murray some time, and Tristan Wirfs is the guy. Number 9, it looks like Jacksonville in this scenario is sitting perfect, and they are going to get their Jalen Ramsey replacement in Jeffrey Aduka, cornerback, Ohio State. He is a lockdown cornerback. He fits their scheme. They also have the 20th pick in the draft. For what they got in return, being able to land a player such as Jeff Aduka, he is expected to be the next Jalen Ramsey, Denzel Ward, next up-and-coming lockdown corner. So I think the Jaguars are sitting in a perfect situation right here. Number 10, we have a trade. the Cleveland Browns are going to trade back. Their number one need was offensive tackle. The only guy that really was available was Mekhi Becton, but he doesn't really fit the zone running scheme in Cleveland. So I think the Falcons are going to trade up for a pass rusher, and they're going to take K'Lavon Chaisson, offensive line or outside linebacker / defense end. He's an edge rusher, and the Falcons are going to receive the 10th overall pick. The Browns are going to receive the 16th overall pick, a 2022 via the Patriots, and a 2024 from the Falcons, because the Falcons have 2 second-round picks in this year's draft. Dan Quinn likes his defensive guys, and Chaisson really pops off the screen, and especially on film, and he is a Dan Quinn type of guy. Number 11, the Jets could go receiver here to get Sam Darnold some weapons, but I think it's more important that they get some protection for him. So Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle, Louisville. He's 6'7", 365 pounds. He is a big mauler. He's gonna put you in the dirt type of guy, and he could slide in day one and be a left tackle for Sam Darnold, and he needs as much protection as he can. Number 12, the Vegas Raiders. Yes, the Vegas Raiders. The Raiders went from Oakland to Vegas. What are they going to do here? They have two first-round picks here, and the Raiders are going to select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Oklahoma. Tyrell Williams is a nice number 2, and you have Hunter Henry in the slot. And I believe taking CeeDee Lamb, who is the best wide receiver in this draft, arguably, they could slide him in, and he's rumored, or he's not rumored, he's scouted, and a lot of scouts believe that he's a DeAndre Hopkins type player. So it makes perfect sense for them to make a splash right away. And there is rumors that they could be in a quarterback here, like a Jordan Love or a Herbert if he falls. Or there's also been rumors that Tom Brady has already bought a property in Vegas. So if they did land Brady and parted ways with Carr, Brady's going to have some weapons with Darren Waller, Hunter Henry, potentially CeeDee Lamb and Tyrell Williams and Josh Jacobs in the backfield. That's a very, very nice offense, and they could compete with Kansas City with that offense. Number 13. Colts could take Jordan Love here as their quarterback of the future, but I think they're going to pass. It's going to be hard to pass up on Derek Brown, defensive tackle, Auburn. He is going to plug that middle. The Colts defense needs improvement. Their defensive line is very, very weak, and they need to just take the best player overall, best player available. That Chris Ballard, their GM, has drafted fantastic the past few years throughout all around the draft. So I think they're just going to keep the philosophy going of best player available. Number 14, Buccaneers could be in the quarterback market here, but there is speculation that they have connections with Phillip Rivers. So I feel like if they're going to take a bridge quarterback, they could trade back in for Jacob Eason or select someone late, or they could survive with Phillip Rivers for the next 2 seasons, or even keep Jameis Winston as well. So I think they're not going to make the same mistake twice, and they are going to take Grant Delpit, safety, LSU. And the reason why is because they passed on Derwin James a few years back. He's an all-pro safety. He's one of the most up-and-coming players in the league, and I think Bruce Arians knows that defense and that secondary needs help. So, again, best player available. Pick 15 is my favorite pick in this scenario in the entire draft. The Denver Broncos are taking Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama. Jerry Jeudy is arguably the best wide receiver in the entire draft. Wouldn't even be shocked if he went 4th overall to the New York Giants. Getting Drew Lock weapons going forward is going to be key. They have a very, very bright offense. They have Drew Lock, they have Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, Noah Fant at tight end. They already have a top 10 to 15 receiver in Cortland Sutton. Now adding Jerry Jeudy as well. This could be a very high-powered offense, and the Broncos have a very bright future. Cleveland Browns at 16. The Cleveland Browns are going to take Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, USC. He is the youngest player in the draft. He is 20 years old, and I think the Browns in this area are just going to force a pick, and they're going to take left tackle Austin Jackson, slide him in day one. Number 17, the Dallas Cowboys are going to take Xavier McKinney, safety, Alabama. He is potentially the best safety in the draft, and they tried trading for Jamal Adams at the trade deadline, couldn't get it done. They couldn't reach a deal with Eric Berry in the offseason. So in this pick here, they are going to select their safety of the future to have the go with Xavier Woods in the back. Here we go. Miami Dolphins are back on the clock. At the 18th pick, they acquired this pick from the Pittsburgh Steelers Minkah Fitzpatrick trade. The Miami Dolphins are going to stick with offense, and they're going to get an impact player in DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is the best running back in this draft, in my opinion. He pops off tape. He is a complete package. He's a great route runner. He's a powerful back. He could also cut to the outside, and this Dolphins offense needs some explosiveness. So the it is the Vegas Raiders. They are going to select Patrick Queen, linebacker, LSU. Patrick Queen really pops off on tape. He is only 20 to 21 years old as well. And I don't think there's been a player in this draft who boosted his stock as much in the college playoffs and the college finals than Patrick Queen. So Raiders need some athletic ability on that defense, and he's going to be the start. Jacksonville Jaguars, they're going to get another great defensive player here, and they're going to get Javon Kinlaw, athletic defensive tackle, South Carolina. They're going to go back-to-back defense. Wouldn't be shocked if they went wide receiver here, but I feel like they're taking best players available, and the Jaguars defense, Doug Marrone, is returning, and this defense is going to become a top 5 defense again. Pick 21, the Philadelphia Eagles need receivers. Alshon Jeffrey's rumored to be released. Nelson Aguilar is going to be gone. And J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is their only really wide receiver of the future. And Deshaun Jackson towards the end of his career. Laviska Shenault Jr., wide receiver, Colorado, is going to be the pick. And he is a big deep threat. He's 6'3". He's going to be their deep threat that Carson Wentz needs. And I feel very comfortable with him being a wide receiver 1 in that offense. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen simply just needs weapons, straight up. He just needs weapons. And T. Higgins, wide receiver from Clemson, has played in multiple big-time games. He's a big receiver at 6'4". He is a contested catch machine. You could throw it up to him. Pairing him with Cole Beasley in the slot and John Brown on the outside and Devin Singletary in the backfield, Josh Allen will instantly become a better player. And I believe that the Bills could push the Patriots and win that division next season. The New England Patriots, they could go in multiple ways here. They could take the tight end from Notre Dame. They could take a safety. They could take a quarterback. There's many ways they could go, but I think they go with Kenneth Murray, linebacker, Oklahoma. He's a very athletic linebacker in the draft, and Bill Belichick likes his linebackers, especially athletic ones, as he had Dante Hightower. He developed Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy. So I think they're going to keep it going, and the Patriots' way is always taking the best available players. Even if you're loaded at that position, just take the best player available and develop him. Pick 24, the New Orleans Saints will select C.J. Henderson, cornerback, Florida. They could go receiver here, but I think they go cornerback here because Eli Apple is horrendous. I don't believe Patrick Robinson is there anymore. You need another guy besides Marshawn Lattimore, who is an all-pro. Janoris Jenkins couldn't get it done. Ken Crawley is not the answer. So they need to boost that secondary because Kirk Cousins was phenomenal that very last drive against them in the wild card when he threw that bomb to Adam Thielen in overtime. That's when Marshawn Lattimore was hurt and they had to have the next guy step up, and he just simply couldn't do it. So I think they're going to take C.J. Henderson, cornerback, Florida. Minnesota Vikings at pick 25. Everyone thinks they're going to go offensive line here, but they've proven in the past that they tend to avoid the offensive line, and Mike Zimmer is one of the most stubborn coaches in the entire league. And I think they're going to take Trayvon Diggs, cornerback, Alabama. They're going to cut Xavier Rhodes. They're going to let Trey Waynes walk. They might bring Alexander back, but they could potentially be without all three guys. So cornerback is going to be a need. And another reason is this is Stephon Diggs' brother. So if Diggs seemed very unhappy the past season, even maybe into last season a little bit, where this could be a way for them to also keep Diggs around long term. And Mike Zimmer likes his big cornerbacks. Diggs is 6'2". He also has punt return ability. The Miami Dolphins are going to stick with offense again. This pick is from the Texans, and they're going to find Laramie Tunsil's replacement here, and they're going to take Josh Jones, offensive tackle, Houston. You're going to need to protect Tua Tagovailoa. They might move Josh Jones to the right side because Tua is a lefty, so that is his blind side. So I'll like to see what they do, but I think they go offense completely in the first round. The Seattle Seahawks are in a perfect position here, and they're going to take AJ Epinzea, defensive end, Iowa. A few months back he was supposed to be a top 6 pick. This draft is so talented, especially on the defensive end side. So I think they're going to get in. I think they're going to let Clowney walk, and I believe AJ Epinzea is going to be a perfect replacement for him, and he fits Pete Carroll's scheme. The next pick, the Baltimore Ravens are going to take Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, LSU. He's a very big receiver that you throw the 50-50 ball to. Lamar Jackson simply needs more weapons. They drafted Marquise Hollywood Brown last year, and they're going to take Justin Jefferson here. You got to get Lamar more weapons. Because in that playoff game, if Hollywood Brown's covered, they have nobody else to throw to. They have nobody else to even go after. Willie Snead's nice, but he's nothing special. The Tennessee Titans are going to take Yahir Gross-Matos, defensive end, Penn State. That defense, or actually the Titans overall, are the oldest team in the NFL. And that defense is aging. And Mike Vrabel really needs to find more of his guys, especially to develop, even if they don't start right away. And I believe Yahir Gross-Matos is like a 20-year-old. He had 10.5 sacks on the season, I believe. So he's going to need to be developed a little bit. The Green Bay Packers here, they're going to force a wide receiver pick, but Jalen Reagor, TCU, he's a very crisp route runner. He has very questionable hands. He's been compared to Jeremy Maclin, and Aaron Rodgers simply just needs more weapons, straight up. Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones is not going to cut it. They had Allen Lazard at wide receiver and Geronimo Allison. Jimmy Graham is old and washed. They need to extend Rodgers' career, and they need to get him more weapons. The Kansas City Chiefs here are going to take Christian Fulton, cornerback, LSU. There's a very good chance that Kendall Fuller is going to walk in free agency, and the Chiefs' defense is aging, and their secondary needs some work. So I believe Christian Fulton, cornerback, LSU. LSU is a defensive back school, and LSU is the school that if you need a corner, you trust their guys. And he's going to fill in as a lockdown corner right away. He could start day one. And I also wouldn't rule out the Chiefs trading back as well. So this is the 49ers pick at the end of the draft. This will be the last pick of the day. And they have a first-round pick. Then they don't even pick again till the 4th round or the 5th round. So I think it's almost inevitable that they trade back. And it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts are going to trade for their quarterback of the future, Jordan Love. They're going to trade up and get that 5th-year option. And the Colts are going to receive pick 32, and they're going to get a 6th-round pick. And the 49ers are going to receive the 34th overall pick, a 2021 3rd, and a 2025th. They're only moving up 2 spots, but they really want that 5th-year option. And Jordan Love is going to be a perfect quarterback to sit behind Jacoby Brissett for one more year, and he could take over in 2021. Jordan Love has been compared to Patrick Mahomes just talent-wise. There has been one quarterback to go through as many changes as Jordan Love did at Utah. He lost 4 offensive linemen, he lost his running back, and he lost his offensive coordinator as well into the very next year, which is this year, where he threw 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. It was just a total mess. But the Colts are going to be in a very bright spot here, and I like what the Colts are doing, and I will never question Chris Ballard. So thank you all for listening to my podcast tonight. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at ThomasGorski33. You could DM me for topics, anything you guys want to talk about, and please subscribe, please. And thank you all for listening, and have a good evening.